gosh, we're the worst person in the world. The guilt is overwhelming. Hi, I'm Sarah, and welcome to Therapy Lessons. I'm your trauma therapist, and today we're going to be talking about enmeshment. Have you ever felt like boundaries with someone else are a little bit blurred, or that what someone else is feeling becomes what you're feeling, or vice versa, what you're feeling becomes what someone else is feeling, and then you have to stop what you're feeling so that you can manage and support someone else from feeling bad? Well, if that's ever happened to you, you're probably enmeshed. Enmeshment is a really interesting phenomenon. I usually see it in the relationship dynamic of parent and child, but it can also happen in close relationships too, like friendships. It makes both of us one entity. So two people become one entity. So if you're feeling something, I have to feel something. If I'm feeling something, you're gonna feel something. And in child-parent dynamics like that, it can be really, really hard on the child who has to experience enmeshment with their parent, because they have to often sacrifice how they're feeling or manage how they're feeling, or not showing anybody what's going on with them, so that they can support their parent in not being stressed out, not being in a bad mood, not feeling worried, which ultimately leads us to a lot of pain and suffering in silence. And what can happen is that follows us into other types of relationships, because we start to kind of learn that our needs don't really matter, and we got to be very careful about how we express our needs or our boundaries or our emotions, so not to hurt, worry, impact somebody else's emotions. And that can show up as people-pleasing behaviors, relationships like work relationships or friendships or intimate partner relationships. How do we know that enmeshment is happening? A couple signs to look out for. Is it hard to set boundaries with someone else without feeling a lot of guilt or being guilted? That could be a sign. 2, do you find that a lot of your self-worth is dependent on what another person thinks about you or feels about you, the person that we're enmeshed with? 3, do you feel responsible for someone else's emotion? Do you feel like, damn, I gotta control that, I gotta take care of that, they're upset. Making sure everybody is feeling okay, ultimately so that you feel okay. And do you notice that if you don't feel okay, that people might have a really hard time managing what that's like without getting into a really strong emotion themselves, and then us having to do all of that work to support them and calm them down? If any of these relate, then you might be experiencing enmeshment. So what do we do? What do we do, Sarah? Well, a couple things that we need to start working on. The first is we need to start building awareness. When is enmeshment happening? It's so subtle, it's so subconscious sometimes that we might not be fully aware in the moments that it's happening until maybe after the fact, especially after you might listen to this video. What does it feel like when it is happening? So looking for signs and signals like I have to take care of their emotion. The second part is we have to work on setting boundaries and prioritizing what we need. So my person that I'm enmeshed with, maybe my parent, always wants me to answer the phone every day. I just can't. It's too much on me. It puts me in a mood when I talk to them. I don't want to do it. So there's a signal in the body that we have to pay attention to that's saying, I don't want to do this thing. We have to start prioritizing what we need first. So not picking up the call, telling them that we can't answer their call all the time. Call them back when we have the time and choose that that's okay for us. What becomes really tough with setting boundaries in relationships that have enmeshment is we feel, oh my gosh, we're the worst person in the world. The guilt is overwhelming. The guilt because we feel bad for that other person, because that's what we're used to. We're used to having to take care of what they are going through. And when I don't, I feel like I'm doing something wrong. Unfortunately, guilt is the worst, one of the worst feelings. Guilt and grief are such horrible feelings. And there's nothing we can really do about them other than tolerate it, learn to tolerate it. And what we can do to help ourselves learn to tolerate guilt, which will slowly help that guilt decline and become way less intense over time, is keep in mind, what is it gonna feel like when I don't have to do the thing that I don't want to do? What's that? Oh, it's like the clouds part and everything is gonna feel so good just to think about, oh, what if I don't have to answer that call? Oh, it's gonna feel so nice. keep that in mind while we're doing the hard thing of saying no. We can work on maintaining and communicating more assertive boundaries. No, because I don't want to. No, because I can't. I can't sacrifice this for me. It's not going to work out for me. We'll talk about boundaries in another therapy lesson. So for now, I hope this helps. Comment below what you think.